Testing. Okay, hi. I'm making this video for Odoro. I'll do a post for them once in a while. And I was thinking about when I first started doing e-commerce back in, what is it, 99 or 2000, and the way I made sites then to sell. I used to sell skateboard products. And you can still use that methodology to this day, and it's actually, I realize it's a really good MVP for an e-commerce site. It's a real quick way to put up an e-commerce site with no hassle, just to see if people will buy your stuff, to test your product offering. Um, Today you have things like Shopify and Etsy, which and eBay and Amazon. I guess if you can sell on Amazon, they're all marketplaces or platforms to sell your products on, and I think you should try all of them actually. But I wanted to show you this way, what I call an MVP website for e-commerce. And so what I did is I built a quick and dirty framework for anybody to use, to get started with their own e-commerce site. And all they need is a text editor, a web hosting account, and an FTP program, um, and a PayPal account. Now I hijacked another framework. Unfortunately, I forgot which one it was. I've been using it for so long, that I don't remember where I got it from. I think it might be Bootstrap, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll try to figure that out later. I like this framework because it's mobile and it's responsive. Here it is in action. Um, it's really easy to use. It's really lightweight. So let me get into how you would start building your e-commerce MVP. And again, let me step back. MVP means minimal viable product. Say like you just want to test to see if what you're thinking of doing or what you're selling is even has any remote chance of getting interest. And you don't want to spend too much time or money or energy writing business plans and reinventing the wheel and spending 6 months of time to set up something that's just going to end up failing. You might want to just get out there and experiment quickly. That's kind of the idea behind the MVP. So it just consists of a few files, and you only have to edit a few of them yourself. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is get a text editor. Now, most computers have text editors, and you can edit any of these HTML files with pretty much any text editor. I prefer a program called Sublime Text, and it just color codes things for you, so it's easier to see. It's very lightweight, very simple, and it's a free download. They want you to pay $5, I think, to donate to them, but it's a free download, and in my video I will link to it. So let's just get started real quick with how the code works. So the way any website works, the index.html file or the index file, generally that's the main homepage of the site. So you're going to open this in your text editor. And I'm going to walk you through all the things you need to fill out. It's all in plain English. There's no coding really. It's really easy stuff. Now the first thing I'm going to show you is the title tag. This is a really important thing. This shows up usually in this tab, but the most important thing is it shows up in the search engines, in the results page of Google. That's why you want to fill this out. So usually what you do is you say, my example website here is we sell shirts with donut prints on them. That's what we're called. So we'll call ourselves Donut King. Awesome t-shirts with screened images of donuts. I think I'm spelling donuts wrong, but I guess some people spell it this way. On them. Smiley face. Okay. So now the title, I'm going to save that, and it's going to be reflected in the title tag. There you go. Now this will show up in Google once you submit it to Google, or once Google finds your site. The next step is there's this wonderful thing out here called the meta description tag, and this is a couple sentences of free advertising that you get in your search engine results, and it shows up in social media and stuff. So we love to make funny T-shirts that are all themed around donuts. Come on by. Okay. So you won't see that reflected on the page. It will just show, it's just in the code. But the search engines will pick up on that and index that for you. Okay. All right. So the rest of the stuff you don't have to bother with. Let's go to the heading. A simple heading might be welcome. Welcome to Donut King. Whoops. So here, I saved it again. I refreshed my browser. This, I'm just viewing the HTML page on my local computer. I haven't uploaded this to any website yet. This is just running off my Mac. So all you have to do is right click and open with your web browser, and then there you go again. So that's how you can view your changes without having to have a web hosting account. You can actually build your entire website on your own computer. Same works on PC. I've been doing the same thing for, approaching 20 years now. Okay, so let's go back to the code. All right, so the image in the file that you can download from my site, I just called the donut shirt image. Now, when you're selling your product, you can call an image to keep it consistent. Say you're only selling one thing, just change the file name to image.jpg and drag it in here, and it will update. You should actually change the name to something more descriptive, like this is my widget.jpg. I like to put hyphens and not spaces in file names. And then you should in the alt tag, you should describe the image. You should say donut screen print t-shirt. Okay. That way, the search engines will read this alt tag and they'll know what that image is about. It'll show up in image search. It'll get indexed, and traffic will come to your site through your pictures as well. All right, as you can see, nothing changed. The picture's there. If the bot comes along and reads your page, the search engine bot will know that this shirt is a silk screen image of a donut. Now, one thing you might want to adjust here is I'll let you play with the size you want your images at. So you can make it 70%, and it'll get a little bigger. You can make it 20%, it'll be tiny. Right? So that's up to you. So, and then you should obviously describe your product here and go, this wonderful donut t-shirt is made with 100% organic cotton. You can even eat it. Just kidding there, don't try that at home. And then maybe you want to say $29.99. Right? Put a price there. Okay. Now you might be asking, well, how do I sell anything with this? Like, okay, well, here's why I said all you need is a PayPal account. So if you have a PayPal account and you set it as a business PayPal account, you're allowed to make buy now buttons. And I'll make another video later on that shows you more about how to create the buy now buttons and put them on your website. For now, let me just say it's super simple. It's not a big deal. So what I've done is I just grabbed some other PayPal code off another site, and I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it under here, under this BR tag, save it, and refresh, and boom. There's your buy now button. When you're in PayPal, you can select the way your buy now buttons look, and they can change shape and stuff like that. This might not look the greatest to you. I don't know where this came from, but that's one way to change the design of them. You can even use your own. They allow you to do that, so that's kind of cool. But the point is, right now, you can click on this and actually buy the product that code represents. I'm not going to do it, but trust me, that's how it works. Okay, so now you're like, wow, I have a website. I can start selling this. And now I'm just going to add a few more tips about how to work with this so you can just embellish it a little bit more. I don't want to make it too complicated, right? I want to keep this pretty simple. I included another image in there. I may or may not keep in there, but for example purposes, it's there now. I called it logo. I'm going to put it above the H1 heading. And I'm just going to say, oops, logo, and Donut King logo. Let's just see what that looks like. All right, there's your logo. Okay, it says Acme. All right, now obviously you'd put your own logo. Now you can say like, well, what if I want to sell more than one thing on this page? Like, okay, well, it's not a problem. Usually all you need to do is copy and paste code. So you can just copy this stuff and paste it, and assuming you made a new buy now button and you had a different image, right? You're now selling two things. You can just go down the line, keep copying and pasting. Okay. All right, so that's pretty basic. That's basically that part in a nutshell. Let's see, what else should I show you? Okay, so a few things, a couple other things about this framework I added. If you notice in the bottom, I have different links. I feel every site should have a footer, so I have a footer in this framework. And the home button should always work. Let me know if it doesn't. Contact. There's some simple code actually where you could actually just say, my name, gmail.com. So you see I'm just changing this right here, and now there's an email address. There's actually special code out there called mail-to. It's called the mail-to code or something, and you can actually make this. This is actually a link, so you can make the link. Click open to their like Outlook or whatever they're using for email. That's a little more advanced. I don't want to cover that right now. So say like in your Twitter account, you want to make that a live link. You go, put your Twitter URL here, HTTP, and mine is twitter.com, and it's like Sean V Work. So you can save that. Let's see, the Twitter is now live, and you can see it's going to my Twitter account. Okay. And you can obviously plug in all your social media things and arrange them any way you want. But the last two things you'll notice is I actually included an About HTML page and an FAQ page for you. So same thing as the index page. About, you might want to talk, in the title tag, put something about Donut King here. Write a different meta description for it. And then we can actually can just go to About, I think. So you can sit here and change the text. So here's the heading. You can change this. That's the first big text on the page. These little P tags are paragraph tags. They just make new paragraphs. The difference between these two P tags, though, you'll notice this little code here that says text hyphen align justify. This just makes this text nice and squared off. This is text that writes from the center. So if we keep writing here, typing here, you'll see how it changes. You see it will expand from the center out, where this kind of stays in this nice block. You can switch between the two, use whatever you want. Finally, there's the FAQ page. Again, very simple. Here I would say, question 1, how much is shipping? Right, let's see what that looks like. How much is shipping? And then you can say, shipping is always free. I don't know, whatever you want to say, right? And then if you want to add more, you can just copy and paste these 2 lines and continue down the line and make more FAQs as you need them. The final thing I want to talk about is just this little BR tag. This thing's a nice thing. All this is a line break. So if you need to add any spacing between anything, just add a bunch of these things or delete them at your will, and they'll just add some room, right? So sometimes if things look too bunched up, you can just add or delete those things. Okay, so that's all the HTML you need to know. Pretty simple and straightforward. It's just basically typing English into the right place. You can pause this video and slow it down and watch what I did very closely. The last thing we should talk about is one of the last things we should talk about is FTPing. So the obvious question is, like, how do I get this live on the internet? So if you're going to start any website, there's 2 things you need. You need to buy your domain name, which is, myname.com, donutking.com. So you go to some registrar, that's what they're called, like GoDaddy. Google used to be a registrar, or they might still do it. I don't like using them. I've had too many weird issues where they have no support and it's impossible to figure out what's going on, so I actually stay away from them. GoDaddy's okay. I've never really had a problem with losing domain names or anything like that, so it's not that I'm really recommending them. It's just, they work. So you go to GoDaddy.com and you buy the domain name. You just call them on the phone and buy it. It's really simple, right? So you buy the name. It's probably gonna be like $10, $15 a year. I usually get private. I privatize the domain name for like another $8 or whatever, so that no one can look up my name if they want to. So it's like $20 a year for the domain name. You can also get your web hosting through GoDaddy, and it's probably really cheap. I like Media Temple for my web hosting. I've been doing this a long time, and I don't have any relationship with them at all, but through all the web hosting I've ever had to get, that they've been the most trouble-free by far. So I have to give it up to them for that. So what web hosting is the computer where your files are stored, which are served to the internet. Okay, so you then go to Media Temple, call them up, buy some web hosting. It's usually $20 a month, I think, something like that. So it's a little more expensive for hosting. You tell them what your domain name is, and they should be able to help you set it all up so that you have a website working at their facility. And when you get it set up, the first thing you will see is probably like a default index.html page like I showed you. So it won't be what we're building here. It'll be whatever they put on like their basic installation. And then here's where you're going to ask them. You're going to ask them, like, how do I FTP into my site? And they will explain it to you. And get a program like FileZilla, and you're going to enter in your host name, username, password, port. They'll tell you all about that. Every web host is a little different, so sometimes they're configured a little differently, but for the most part, they all work the same. Once you've FTP'd into your site, you're going to replace all the stuff that's in the default directory usually. So you're going to replace the index file that you made here on your computer, and you're going to drag it in here, and it's going to replace it. So I don't want to do that because that's a live site. Anyway, so that's how you do that. Okay, so you'll basically move all these files into your root directory of your live website. Okay, and you'll see, and then you can go on the internet and refresh your page, and you'll see the changes. This is a very simple, quick, easy way to build a website. There are tons of tutorials on the internet to show you how to do this. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. So that's how you do that part. Remember, your web host is more than happy to walk you through these steps. They're not that difficult. Unless some people are really, really scared of this technology for some reason, and they get really confused, and I've seen it happen, and they freeze up and they don't understand anything. If you're willing to just like relax, let someone talk you through it, watch some tutorials, watch tons of tutorials on it, ask questions, you'll get it pretty quickly. The best thing is to just have someone sit down next to you that's built websites before and just show you how to do it real quick. You'll learn it in you'll literally learn how to do this in like 3 minutes if you have someone sitting next to you. Okay. Finally, I think I talked about Etsy and Shopify and all the other sites. You should use them. The good reason of doing the MVP framework is that you'll build the site and you'll promote it yourself. You can put this stuff on Facebook. You can tweet it out. You can tell your friends. You can have everyone go to my site. You can start promoting it any way you can, and you can kind of benchmark them to your other selling platforms like Etsy or Shopify. And you can see which one works better for you. Maybe both work better. Like maybe it's better to have a synergy where you have multiple sites selling things. Um, Maybe you'll realize like, oh wow, the Shopify and Etsy sites don't do anything for me. My own personal site, the MVP site, it kicks its butt. Or maybe the opposite. Who knows, right? But it's a great way to benchmark which one works best for you. The beauty of these sites is that you have 100% control of everything that you're doing. You can anything you want to do, you can do. Um, Whereas a platform like Shopify or Etsy, you're obviously limited. Um, Now, of course, this framework's pretty basic in terms of like, there's PayPal does have some inventory control. Um, they do. I think those buttons work with people who add multiple items to orders. They don't save shopping cart history, so if someone leaves a site, all that information's gone basically. There's no account creation, but I find that to be a good thing. Like that's a stumbling block for people. It impedes sales. Um, like you're not going to have any cart abandonment technology. Um, you could probably put exit intent technology on your site if someone left and try to get them to come back. So that is doable with this framework. But again, this is just a very bare bones platform just to get started quickly. The other thing is the search engines will have no problem reading this site and indexing every word on it because it's the most basic type of site. Sometimes content management systems and other platforms are harder to SEO. The final thing you might want to know about, final thing I was going to talk about is if you're going to start, putting pages into or pasting your URLs from your website into Facebook. There are these things called open graph tags that you'll put in your head up here. This is like bonus stuff, so I'm pretty much done. But what it does is it will make your Facebook post a little more spruced up. Like you can show a nicer image. You can have special description tags. You can kind of tweak the way it looks on Facebook better. So if you look up open graph tags, you can play with that stuff and stick it here in the head. That's totally up to you. Okay, I hope that made sense. Obviously, I guess I want to let people just leave questions in the comments and I'll answer them there. I kind of don't want a bunch of people emailing me on my website about specific questions on how to, build their site. If they're like, I don't want to help everyone building a site because I don't have enough time to answer everyone's questions and get into their individual problems. But general questions, I'll start answering them on the video, and hopefully that will help people out and whoever's using this. Okay, thank you very much.